Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. In this video, you'll have an opportunity to practice your Spanish language listening and reading skills as we read through Western philosophy in simple Spanish. Now, this book is targeted to our Spanish language intermediate learners ranging from the B1 to the B2 level. If this doesn't quite describe you, not to worry, I encourage you to join us all the same. And the video is broken down into two parts. In the first part, we'll read through a chapter in Spanish. In the second part, we'll review a few of the chapter's core concepts in English. Capítulo 8. El cambio cartesiano. La filosofía de Descartes. Inés, Garcín y Estela acaban de recibir los resultados de su examen. Garcín no lo ha hecho tan bien como las chicas, pero su estado de ánimo ha mejorado después de la clase de hoy, de la que hablan mientras vuelven juntos a casa por la orilla del Sena. Profesor, me han impresionado los resultados de algunos de vuestros exámenes, no tanto de otros, pero aún estamos en los primeros días del curso y todavía queda mucho por aprender. Hoy quiero hablar de una figura impotente en la historia de la filosofía. Su nombre es Rene Descartes y es tan conocido que hablamos de un cambio cartesiano en la filosofía. Podemos considerarlo uno de los fundadores de la filosofía moderna y sus ideas aún se estudian a día de hoy. Distinguido matemático y científico, era católico además de filósofo. Pero, a diferencia de los escolásticos, Descartes estaba dispuesto a cuestionar las creencias previas. Buscaba la certeza y eso lo llevó a desarrollar el método cartesiano. En resumen, Descartes dudaba de todo hasta que podía estar seguro de ello. Era un racionalista y también nos encontraremos con más racionalistas en la próxima clase. Después de la clase, Inés, Garcín y Estela caminan juntos hacia el café de Flore. Garcín, el profesor Aymar me dijo que fui demasiado crítico con los filósofos que hemos estudiado, pero yo pensaba que la filosofía consistía en cuestionar lo que otras personas dicen. Estela, sí, pero también tienes que ser constructivo al estar en desacuerdo. Garcín, pero ¿cómo puedo ser constructivo si creo que todo está equivocado? Inés, ¿y hoy? ¿No te parece que Descartes es interesante? Garcín, la verdad es que me encantaron algunas de sus ideas. Dudar de todo, incluso de tus propios sentidos, me parece sensato. Estela, pero siempre has dicho que te gustan los hechos y que crees en lo que la ciencia te dice. Descartes te hace dudar de todo. Inés, no de todo. No podemos dudar de que existimos. Esa es su famosa frase. Pienso, luego existo. A partir de esto, puedo razonar que el mundo externo y los hechos de las matemáticas tampoco son una ilusión. En tanto que sé algo sobre mí, también puedo saber sobre estas cosas. Garcín, cogito ergo sum, en latín. Inés, exactamente. Descartes pensaba que podíamos dudar de todo, incluso de 2 más 2 es 4. Afirmó que incluso la aparente certeza de las matemáticas podría ser falso, ya que Dios podría hacer que nos equivocáramos al contar. Estela, pero como católico, debía creer que Dios es bueno. Un Dios bueno no nos engañaría. Garcín, pero un demonio malvado podría. Eso es lo que él decía, ¿verdad? Un demonio malvado podría engañarnos acerca de todas las cosas, excepto sobre el hecho de que estamos pensando. No podemos dudar de que estamos pensando, incluso aunque dudemos de todo lo que estamos pensando. Inés, hoy sí que has prestado atención. Garcín, me gusta Descartes, aunque sus ideas dan un poco de miedo. Pensad en ello. No hay nada de lo que podamos estar seguros. Nuestros sentidos nos engañan. Soñamos sueños que parecen reales. Recordamos cosas que no sucedieron. Inés, pero podemos estar seguros de que estamos pensando. Todos tus hechos científicos empiezan a ser cuestionados, Garcín. No hay certeza sobre nada, excepto sobre el hecho de que estamos pensando. Garcín. Además, hay otra razón por la que me gusta. Estela. Ah, ¿sí? ¿Cuál es? Garcín. Él era como yo. Solía dormir hasta el mediodía. No era una persona mañanera. Inés. Y no dijo el profesor Aymar que algunos pensaban que era un espía porque se mudaba de casa todo el tiempo, aunque tú no eres un espía, Garcín. Garcín, bueno, si lo fuera no podría saberlo, ¿verdad? Alright, so now we're going to move on to the second section of the video, and just in case you're joining us for the first time, I do want to point out a sort of a plot point here, because this is also very much a plot-driven text. So there's 3 students here studying philosophy at the University of Paris. You have Inés, Garcín, y Estela. None of them are majoring in philosophy, especially not Garcín. He's a journalism major because I guess he just loves dying industries. But his character is all about the facts. He wants to know about objective reality. He can't be bothered with fluffy, subjective interpretations. There's just no time for that. It's just not how his brain works, right? So that's his bias. So here they got their test results, because up until now they've covered like the pre-Socratics, the Socratic philosophers, the Middle Age philosophers, the Christian theologians, and so they're closing off that section with an exam, and then now we're moving on to modern philosophy, beginning with Descartes. So I want to read here what I highlighted. Me han impresionado los resultados de algunos de vuestros exámenes. no tanto de otros, pero aún estamos en los primeros días del curso y todavía queda mucho por aprender. So, Garcin didn't do too well. He didn't do too well because he didn't provide constructive criticism of the philosophical ideas they've been exposed to up until this point, because again, his bias is like, what could I possibly have to learn from philosophy? So that's the plot point here I wanted to point out. And yeah. All right, so in this chapter, we get introduced to the idea of modern philosophy. This may be pre or early science, Enlightenment, European Enlightenment, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, Descartes is famously a rationalist. I think he's also maybe not an empiricist, although if he's a scientist, you gotta be an empiricist, but certainly a rationalist philosopher. Yeah. All right, so even if you're not a philosophy buff, you've probably heard this quote before. Pienso, luego existo. In English, it translates into, I think, therefore I am. Right? Because he wrote a book, I think it's called The Meditations, where he reasons away all the illusions in his life. Like, what if the physical world is an illusion? What if I'm still in a dream, but I don't think I'm dreaming, and I'm, still in a dream? What if this life right now is a dream? I could, like, he gave the thought example of, like, what if I'm dreaming, and in the dream, I think I wake up, and I'm in reality, but I'm still in the dream. What does this sound like to you? It sounds like the movie Inception, right? It's kind of like that. And so he tries to reason away all the illusions in life until he hits, like, philosophical bedrock. Like, what's the one thing that cannot be an illusion? And the one thing that can be an illusion is that you're thinking. And if you're thinking, you exist. And then he goes from there to try to prove God exists. I'm not with that, but anyways, that's what this phrase means. I think, therefore I am. Like, I cannot be an illusion. I am a thinking thing. The fact that I exist and the fact that I'm thinking cannot be an illusion. Consciousness cannot be an illusion. That's like the one thing that has to be real in this life. If you follow Sam Harris, he basically says the same thing about consciousness. He says consciousness is the one thing that can't be an illusion. And Descartes pretty much saying the same thing here. All right, so and the thought experiment here is that you have to imagine this, like, evil demon who's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. This evil demon is trying to trick you that everything in reality is an illusion, right? But no, it's trying to trick you to thinking that everything you perceive is real, when in fact it's an illusion, right? So that's the thought experiment. So I'll go ahead and read the highlighted portion here, given by Garcin. Pero un demonio malvado podría. Eso es lo que él decía, ¿verdad? Un demonio malvado podría engañarnos acerca de todas las cosas, excepto sobre el hecho de que estamos pensando. So this evil demon could trick us into thinking that illusions are real all day, all night, every day of the week, except for the fact that we're thinking. The fact that we're thinking can't be an illusion. So that's just what I said a second ago. What movie does this remind you of? Let me know in the comments section. Very, very famous movie, right? You think you're in reality, but then you unplug from reality, and then you wake up in the actual reality, and it's not what you think it is, right? What movie is this from? I'll give you a hint. It's a science fiction movie, and it involves Keanu Reeves. Very popular movie. Let me know in the comment section if you know what I'm talking about. All right. The last thing I'll point out here is Ines bringing up something the professor said, whose name I do not like to pronounce in Spanish. Aymard. Hitting that RD is just a little hard for my tongue, but that's an aside. Anyway, so here Ines is bringing up that Descartes might have been a spia, right? I don't recall reading that about Descartes, just a little personal history about the man. I remember reading that he was like a math tutor for a princess or nobility at the time, and that's a big way of how he made his money. I don't remember talk of him being a spy. But that's what's being said here. A little fun fact about him, apparently. I will say this though: Descartes is the man who bridged the gap between algebra and geometry, right? And so when in your math class, when you plot a line, when you plot a triangle, when you plot a parabola, and you can basically use an equation to kind of trace out the curve of the line. Like, that's this guy. Like, Descartes, he invented that. You know how he invented that? I'll tell you, he invented that. He was laying in bed because it's actually right here. It says he liked to sleep until like midday, right? So he'll just stay in bed like at noon, 1 p.m. He didn't want to get out of bed. A little relatable, right? That's why Gottesine likes him so much. So he'd just be in bed, like, I'm not fucking getting up today. And he was just staring at the ceiling. And there's a fly that will land in one location, the ceiling, and then another location, the ceiling. And he would think to himself, there has to be a way that I can quantitatively pinpoint the location of that fly. And allegedly, that is how he came up with the Cartesian coordinate system. You know, that X, Y grid that we all know about from algebra class. Yeah, he was just musing in bed, trying to pinpoint the location of a fly and thinking, how could I do that with mathematics? Well, let's say there's like lines on the ceiling, in the way there's tiles on the ground. Just go over like 5, and then you go up like 3. There you go. That's the location of the fly, and then that's what inspired him. It's kind of wild, isn't it? It's kind of wild. That's like, it's these little moments when you're bored, because this guy wasn't like inundating himself with dopamine hits. Just little moments when you're bored and the mind just kind of wanders off and makes these connections that otherwise would not have made. It's said that Isaac Newton thought about gravity when an apple fell from a tree and hit him on the head. I don't think that's quite true. I think an apple probably fell, but didn't hit him on the head, something like that. It's not quite true, but it again speaks to this idea of like, get off the phone and be bored and let the mind kind of make these non-linear connections about things you're thinking about, and then you can have these eureka moments. That's it. If you like what we're doing here, if you find this valuable, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, comment, leave a comment. Love or hate what we're doing here, I want to hear about it, because it's not really love or hate precisely what helps the channel grow, but rather engagement. So if you're feeling a little trolly, I'll take trolling. Go ahead, troll me in the comment section. Make fun of my accent, something, anything. Just engage so the algorithm is satisfied. All right. With that said, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.